Good evening. I have the honor tonight of introducing our recipient of the Judicial Award, and I'm just going to talk for a minute about Carmen Vizcaino. And a lot of you know, and a lot of us know, that in September of 2001, there were many members of the Muslim, South Asian, Sikh, and Arab American communities who were detained. A lot of these people were held on material witness warrants, meaning that they had not been accused or charged of any crime, yet our courts at the time held that they were able to be kept in jail as long as the government thought that it was necessary. This was a very trying time in the history of our country, and there weren't very many lawyers who were willing to stand up and to represent these people. It was a time when there was a debate in our country about whether our constitutional principles were being applied equally to all people. However, there were some people at the time who were willing to stand up and support the implementation of the rule of law. These people put their reputations on the line and decided that they were going to stand up and represent people who did not have a voice. Carmen Vizcaino is one of these people. At the time, Carmen was just in her third year out of law school and was serving as a public defender in Miami-Dade County. And she is really, from then until now, an example of somebody who's always willing to stand up for the values that our country really promotes. She's a true Miami girl. She's a daughter of Operation Pedro Pan Cuban immigrants. She graduated second in her class from St. Thomas University School of Law. She's tried many, many cases and has always shown her tenacity in the courtroom, and has also shown that compassion plays a very strong role in our judicial system. And most of all, she deserves this award because she's Quirum's law partner and has had to put up with him for God knows how many years. I want to welcome Carmen Vizcaino.
First, I'd like to thank everyone involved with this award. There was a time in this country where there was a lot of growing tension between Americans in a particular group. And that growing tension culminated in an act of violence. And men were arrested. And when that happened, the American populace called out for justice. They wanted to see those men lynched, killed immediately. But this is America, and you're entitled to a speedy trial before you're quick hanging. The problem was there was no attorney that would take the case out of fear for their own safety, their reputation. But one attorney did stand up and represented those men and went to trial. What I'm talking about happened over 200 years ago with the Boston Massacre. And the attorney, who was called un-American and treason, and basically America called out to have him lynched right next to his clients. He became the second president of the United States, John Adams, and he was one of the drafters of the United States Constitution and the Bill of Rights, which gives all Americans fundamental rights: right to free speech, right to religion, right to a fair trial. Many people these days, you hear them saying, well, those rights really should only belong to real Americans. And they feel that maybe real Americans walk a certain way, talk a certain way, look a certain way, worship a certain way. And if you don't conform with that, then you're not a real American. Well, I believe they're wrong. We are all Americans. All of us who live between these shores. All of us who are part of society, like everyone in this room, who works here, who lives here, owns businesses here, employs people here. We are all Americans, and those rights belong to all of us. After 9/11, we all kind of stepped into a very strange world. Legislation was passed without legislatures actually reading them, which stretched our Constitution to places it had never been before, gave the government power that it never had. And as many of you in this room know, many brothers, fathers, sisters, even daughters were taken away for interrogation and held. people who considered themselves to be American, because they wore hijab or they answered the call to prayer, all of a sudden were not only no longer American, but they were actually seen as the enemy. And in this time, there were a lot of attorneys who basically didn't want to touch any of these cases with a 10-foot pole because fear that their reputation would be attacked, fear for their own safety, and there were a few who had the bravery and strength to stand up and do what was right. I was not one of those lawyers. I was extremely young and had a very big mouth and was very naive, and I did what I thought was right and never really considered the consequences. Though there were threats and accusations that I was called un-American for doing what I was doing, it was something that there was no courage or bravery involved. I just plowed forward pretty much like I always do. But I will tell you this, I did what I thought was right, and I do believe that these fundamental rights belong to all of us, every single one of us in this room, every single American. And I am very proud, and have always been very proud to say that my name is Carmen Vizcaino, and I represent the Muslim man or woman standing next to me. And I am an American, and I do not accept this award for representing the Muslim community. I accept this award for representing my fellow Americans. Thank you.